When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel. Looking for good ideas for life? You are far from good hands. If you think the listener is always right, you are far from the right place. Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, a rebel by choice. If you want a host that floats between love and madness, then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
What up? Excuse me while I whip this out.
Oh, gnarly!
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
And good evening, friends.
It's me. It's DDP. Diamond Dallas Page. The king of bada bing, the master of the diamond cutter, the three-time world champion and CEO and founder of DDP Yoga. And you, monkey? Well, you are listening to Crazy Train Radio. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Burn! Self-high five.
He is the king of the self-high five, the master of the diamond cutter, and he also puts the point in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, even though he's down in the South. Diamond Dallas Page, how you doing?
Never had a bad day in my life, brother. And I will always put the point in Point Pleasant Borough my whole life, man. You know, it's where it all started for me, and what an amazing area to raise a family and to grow up in.
Oh, that's for sure. I'm a Jersey guy originally myself, over on the west coast of Jersey, over close to Philly, but, you know, we're all one and the same there, that's for sure.
Then we all look out for Jersey people. That's what we do.
Oh, that's for sure. Hey, it is what it is.
Yep.
I want to start off with the documentary, you know, because that's first and foremost. It's out on DVD now and all that fun stuff. The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. He is almost like the Alfred Hitchcock of wrestling, I would say.
That's a good scenario. I like that. That's a good analogy.
Yeah. But how would you say it was dealing with him when you said, I want to put your story on DVD as far as his recovery and everything?
Well, you know, I didn't really think about it like that. When I first started with the director, Steve Yu, who's one of my business partners, and really the main guy that I do all the brainstorming with, that we do for, you know, just everything that we do in business. I told him, because we're always looking like, who's the next person to take DDP Yoga and what they're doing in their life, you know, like as far as pain or, you know, just, you know, instabilities or drama or whatever's happening, you know, whatever helps them, because exercise is the greatest stress reliever ever. Like presently, it's Mick Foley, you know, and everybody can see how different Mick looks in not even a year, and how he's moving around and all that. So, you know, it's always looking like, who's the next person? And you have to understand where Jake Roberts and I come from. I always say, without Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, there is no Diamond Dallas Page, because Dusty was my first mentor and big brother who guided me through a lot of my career. But without Jake the Snake Roberts, there's no three-time world champion. And Jake took me under his wing very early on. I met him in my nightclub in Fort Myers, Florida, when there was, you know, not even a thought of me wrestling again, because I tried it when I was 22. But I met Jake early on, and we became buddies. And more drinking buddies, and anybody from the Jersey Shore can relate to drinking buddies. And that's how we started. But we also know that there's plenty of guys we started drinking and partying with that as we got older, for some reason, their body really couldn't deal with the alcohol, and it would become a real negative to them. And that was Jake. Like, Jake should have been a 10-time world champion. Jake should have been maybe the number one wrestler of all time. But because of the demons and the booze and the pills and the drugs, that's not the way it went down. But even though he had all those adversities, he still rose to be, like, if you take 10 of the top wrestlers of all time, and you say, who's your favorite wrestler? 70 to 80% of them will have Jake the Snake Roberts in that top 5.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. So to me, I wanted to help Jake walk away from our business with his head held high. Because to me, Jake was not in the Hall of Fame. That was a travesty of justice to me. But I understood why he wasn't, though. Because, the WWE is just not going to let, you come in, and just because you were talented, if you're not an upstanding citizen, let's say, they're not going to put their label on you for good reason. And you could understand, because Jake just didn't, burn bridges. Jake nuked the bridges. He nuked cities. He had a lot of bad blood in him and a lot of demons, and he didn't hold back when it came to being a jerk off. And long story short, we went through our adversities as well. But when it came right down to it, when it came down to me wanting to help him and help him turn his life around, because I was fortunate enough to make millions of dollars. I had a really storybook career. But without Jake Roberts' help, none of that ever really happens. So I wanted to try to pay him back, and that's where the resurrection of Jake the Snake comes from.
Well, and you know what? Dealt with Jake a few times, just crossing paths at different events and whatnot. And I think I can be honest here and say Jake would be the first one to tell you he was a jerk off too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he'll be the first honest. Now, obviously, handling such a rehab process, because as well as I do, when you're dealing with addictions and everything that Jake was dealing with at the time, did you have to prep yourselves, you and your team, Stephen, you and everybody, ahead of time on how to handle things? Or were you just, hey, we're going to go in here as his friend and all that fun stuff?
I think the best way I could really explain that, do you know who Josh Brolin is?
Yes.
The actor.
Yes.
Maybe top 5, 10 actors in the business today. I mean, that's how respected he is because of his ability. And he's a man who actually also lives with addiction as well, because he's pretty open about it as well. The other executive producer besides myself is a guy named Chris Bell. Did you ever see the movie Bigger, Stronger, Faster?
Yes.
Well, Chris was the executive producer of that. And he sent the movie over to Josh to see. They're friends, workout buddies from Gold's Gym. and he wrote to, Josh wrote to Chris, just watch the doc and I am in stunned silence. A happy ending. And then in parentheses he wrote, or at least until now, ? Wow. DDP, and then he put ... What an amazing guy. A real man. That might be one of my biggest compliments. Pretty cool. And then he wrote, thank you so much for turning me on to that. And this is my whole point of bringing this up. He wrote, a great story of hope and love and real compassion. I needed to see that. That's what this movie was. coming in. That's what this journey was with myself and Steve Yu, who really didn't even know Jake the Snake Roberts. He knew of his fame, he knew who he was, but he didn't know Jake Roberts. He didn't know, like, why would you know unless you're a person who dealt with addiction on a daily basis, or you knew Jake, that he was going to be a super handful. And when I wasn't there, Steve was there. So, a lot of people, I've got a lot of accolades from a lot of people. Oh my God, you did this, you did that, you saved Jake's life, blah, blah, blah. I write so many times back that, I was just the guide. Those guys put all the work in, but I also wasn't the only one, the crew that I had here, the guys who you see in the background, they had a lot to do with helping keep Jake on the straight path. Of course, it came down to me in the end to hammer the shit down or have to deliver the bad news, so to speak, at times, or be the heavy, which I never wanted to be with Jake, because, I look up to Jake. I have a ton of respect for him, but I had to help him get out of that funk. And to do that, that requires a bunch of tough love. And anybody who watches The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, they see that. And it's one of the reasons why on Netflix right now, I always have to preface this with Netflix made documentaries cool. Like Showtime, they're cool, and they show a lot of cool documentaries, but Netflix really made it cool. Netflix created its own brand from nothingness. And when you take all the documentaries that they have, and there's thousands of them, we are the 6th highest rated documentary. More importantly, when it comes to sports figures, and ESPN has hundreds of them, and they do their documentaries as good as they can be done.
Oh, yeah, the 30 for 30 series.
Yeah, and all those 30 for 30 series in there. The Resurrection of Jake the Snake is the 2nd highest rated sports documentary. And when it comes to really impressive. When it comes to biopics about an individual, and think about the Allen Iverson documentary, which I thought was unbelievable. When it takes all of those documentaries about an individual, we are number 1, rated by the fans.
Unfucking believable.
That's the stuff that when Steve and I, like he's sitting right next to me right now, and I can't tell you how many times we'd be sitting in our office at my house, because it wasn't like we had this big DDP Yoga Performance Center back then. It wasn't like I had an office in my home. My home was my office. I just had a bed there. And, everybody else could go home, but I still was there and dealing with the madness. The only person after me who dealt with that was Steve, because he's like me. He don't ever stop working. But we never feel like we're working now, because we love what we do. So when you have that gift of being able to love what you do, doesn't really make you feel like you never stop working. For me at 60 now, I have to pull myself back in time. Because if I don't, I'm not going to make it to a strong 70. I'm not going to make it to 80. My goal is to make it to 90 plus and hold my foot over my head and balance myself on one foot. Like, that's my goal. I'm not thinking about 65, because that's going to be here tomorrow. I'm thinking about 85. That's where my mindset goes.
With over 30 years of experience and a superb reputation for being a detail-oriented company, Lacey Cleaning has some of the highest work standards in the cleaning business.
That's the fact, Jack!
Whether it's carpet cleaning, tile, grout cleaning, new construction cleanup, rental turnovers, vent and duct cleaning, odor elimination, office and or business cleaning, power washing, residential cleaning, you name it, they do it. Check them out. To contact them today, LaceyCleaning@gmail.com. or call them at 609-709-8536.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, you obviously answered my next question about how taxing and exhausting but rewarding at the same time. But the world you guys come from, in terms of professional wrestling, and dealing with everything you dealt with, documentary-wise, how hard was it to try to separate Jake the Snake from Arlen Smith Jr.? You know what I mean? The person to the character and all that fun stuff.
Well, Aurelian Smith is a scared young child that dealt with a lot of really bad shit growing up. And, you know, he created this Jake the Snake Roberts character, and he talks about it in the movie, who's supposed to be this big bad motherfucker. And Jake can be that guy. I mean, make no mistake about that. I mean, Jake can be that big, bad, scary son of a bitch. But that's not who he is. You know, who he is the guy who cares about, you know, his family and his kids, that he knows he fucked them growing up. But to come to this realization through the resurrection of Jake the Snake, because none of this happened, you have to understand that the entire time I moved Jake Roberts into my house, when I moved Razor Ramon, Scott Hall into my home, we were making YouTube videos to bring the story to the people, never really knowing where that was going to go. I just had a vision. When I first called Jake up and I first talked to him about, you know, doing my program. And you have to understand that DDP Yoga, and nothing made me happier than reading the reviews, because, you know, there was times I wear a DDP Yoga shirt. I'm wearing it right now. You will never see me in an airport without one. You know, I know what my brand is. I believe in it 100+%. I know that it's life-changing, it's life-saving. I know what it is. I know who I am. And I wear it proudly, the same way that Steve Jobs wore an apple everywhere. You know, I know that I'm changing the world. It isn't just me, it's all the people around me. It's the people who believe. As Scott Hall will say, I drank the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid is positive breeds positive. Lose the negative bullshit story you're telling yourself. That's the only way I help turn those guys' lives around. Because I helped them change the bullshit negative story that was on a constant rotation in their brain. You know, Albert Einstein said that insanity is doing it over and over and over and over and over again and expecting a different result. That's insane, you know?
Yes.
But Einstein also said, it's not that I'm so smart. I just stick with the problem longer. You see, that's what I do. And anyone that I can convince to do anything in a positive way to help themselves, it's all about sticking with the problem longer, whether it is alcohol, drugs, obesity, pain. And one of the things that people who get it, they understand, and people who don't understand don't get it. The reason why DDP Yoga is such a big part of who I am, it's because it helps take away pain. So when people were athletes, and there's a lot of people who are listening to your show right now that were athletes all through high school, maybe through college, maybe they played intramurals, maybe they just liked being a weekend warrior, and now today they are beat to fuck. And they may not feel like that all the time like we do as athletes, that we're professional athletes. Because if you don't stay ahead of it, you're going to feel like shit all the time. It gets to a point, Mick Foley again, the only thing that Mick can say right now is I wish I would have listened to DDP 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But who cares about 20 years ago? I care about
here
today.
Now.
Yeah, today. Like, how do you own it? How do you own your life today? And Mick is doing it. I mean, I'm writing a book right now called Own Your Life. Tagline, be unstoppable. You know, it's a mental set that goes in your brain. Like, you saw the disabled veteran that I helped walk again, right?
Yeah, that was one of the first big things I saw about DDP Yoga.
Huge. When I talked to Arthur Borman, the disabled veteran, who today is helping me get DDP Yoga to the disabled vet, and understand, I want no money from them. I want nothing from them but to do my program, period. Now, figuring out how to make that happen is a work in progress. But it starts with the mindset, I want every disabled vet to be doing my program. And I already know they've been fucked by America, and I love America. But they've been
so many different ways.
Like, it's ridiculous. And if you're listening to this, and you're a disabled vet, and you got to be able to prove it to me, because anybody can say it. But you can prove to me you're a disabled vet, I got you. Get a hold of me at DDP Yoga. And find a way to get to me, because people do. And the people who do, I send them what I call the list, which means you're going to have to put some work in. But that's the beginning. This is what Arthur Borman did, the disabled vet we're talking about. You got to do what Arthur did. And then when you do it, I give it to you. So I don't know anybody who does that shit. I don't know anybody in the fitness field that have created a workout called the Chairmaster, where it starts sitting in a chair. And this is ideally designed for the disabled vet, because that guy or that woman can't maybe get out of their chair, but they can stand up for a little while. But because of the brutality that their body has been put through, you know, maybe they have some serious issues with that. So the goal is to use the chair in the workout where you never get out of the chair. But the next series of workouts has you working out using the chair to balance, to get yourself to the ground, to take yourself up again. Very similar to what you saw Jake Roberts in Resurrection of Jake the Snake, or Scott Hall using the chair for balances, using it to go down, using it to get back up again. I've been working on this for 2 years, and it's finally come to reality in my DDP Yoga Now application that's on Google Play and iTunes. I actually have Zach Gowen. Do you know who Zach Gowen is?
Yeah. The one-legged wrestler.
The one-legged wrestler.
Zach's a buddy of the show.
Who also is the one-legged American Ninja Warrior. No one has been an American. I mean, I can't even think about doing the American Ninja because of my body. Zach got three-quarter half the way there. You know, Zach Gowen is powered by DDP Yoga. He'll be the first person to tell you.
Zach's a freak of nature, man. He's awesome.
But he took what I was doing and now is taking it to be an instructor. So I have Zach coming to my home on the 13th of August with another guy named Steve, who I met, who is an amputee from the knee down. And we are going to show you the early amputee versions of DDPY that will, again, get you ready to take on the more challenging. Like Zach Gowan can do my extreme psycho workouts with me. You know, he's modifying at times because he has one leg.
But to still go toe-to-toe with you, you know, is still impressive.
He's stronger than I am. I mean, I always say, if I can do what Diamond Dallas Page can do at 60 years old, what could you do? Zach Gowan is a great, exceptional example of that. And so that's all part of my Chairmaster series that is for the Wounded Warriors. So,
well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. That is.
No, I was going to tell you, after we're done recording, I want to talk to you about a Wounded Warrior group I can hook you up with, but we can deal with that off the air.
Cool.
But speaking of which, since we don't have much time with you left, I do have one question about the yoga because we've been talking about it.
Wait. What'd you call it?
Not Your Mama's Yoga, DDP Yoga. Excuse me.
Yeah, don't call my shit yoga, bro. DDP Yoga.
Yes, sir. Back when you're developing DDP Yoga, which back in the day it was called Not Your Mama's Yoga, it was the tagline. When you're developing this whole program, did you reach out to trainers, nutritionists, just different people in the fitness area to help you develop the game plan?
You know, I never stopped doing that. I never had to reach out to anybody because I was already dealing with what I consider the best minds in the business. Like, I have been gluten-free, dairy-free, and GMO-free for 8 years. People didn't even know what gluten-free was 5 years ago.
This is true.
I don't tell anybody to do anything that I don't do myself. And one of the things that's on the list is you have to watch these movies. Jake the Snake, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake is one of them because it's on Netflix. You got Netflix, it's free. If you got to go to iTunes, it's 99 cents. So it's not like or $3.99. It's not a big deal. But that's for the mindset. The movies for understanding what food you need to put in your body. Food Inc., one of the smartest, ahead of its time, 9 years ago that came out, 2007. Food Inc. It's on Netflix. GMO, OMG. You got kids? You're feeding those kids, which you know you are. You need to know what the fuck you're feeding them. Both of those are on Netflix. Sick, Fat, and Nearly Dead is on Netflix. On Amazon is a movie called Genetic Roulette. Genetic Roulette will let you know really the food on a daily basis. You probably, 90% of the food you eat. And you need to understand, in the last 20 years, food was not genetically, like where it is today. It was not genetically modified until 1996. That was the beginning of this company called Monsanto that started, they own the patent on wheat and corn and soy. You have to really understand, in the last 20 years, what has happened with obesity, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, autism. Just take those 5 things. Look online, see where the numbers were in 1996 and where they are today. They're through the roof. There's one thing that's changed: the food. So I just got done cooking in our kitchen here at the DDP Yoga Performance Center with my daughter Brittany, and I call it Pizza and Beer Night, where I want to show you healthy beer choices that taste awesome. Because if they taste like shit, I'm going to tell you. All right? I'm really only going to be bringing the stuff that tastes good, though. Because there's a ton of choices today that there were not 10 years ago of real food, but they taste like shit 10 years ago. Today, there's some really great choices that taste amazing. We made 4 different pizzas for 4 different Pizza and Beer Fridays, which are the last Friday of every month. That will blow your mind. Like, wow, these best pizza, unless you grew up where we grew up on the Jersey Shore, anywhere in New Jersey or New York, the pizza's great.
Oh, awesome.
What they make, what you're eating is shit. What I'm eating is friggin' healthy real food. And
so this is what I was going to say, real food.
Real food.
So when people sign up to do DDP Yoga, do you send them or make suggestions to where to find this real food?
If anybody gets the DDP Yoga program, a lot of people still want DVDs today. So, we have them for people to invest in. And notice I didn't say buy or sell. Because what I do is an investment. It's an investment of the last 30 years of my life. It's strong last 20 of how to heal my body, how to strengthen my body, how to make it into my 60s, 70s, and 80s with strength and power as opposed to brittle and, crippled. If you get the program, we actually have a whole written area for food and eating real food choices. But you also get 3 months of our DDP Yoga Now app, which doesn't just have all of the workouts. I just put up a new workout, not me personally, but one of my people who work with me, Christina, called DDPY for Mamas, which is women who are pregnant and in that first, second, and third trimester, and where and what they should be doing over that period. I already told you about the Chairmaster workouts for people who are not just disabled. That's for people who are older, people who are morbidly obese, people who are just beat up and crippled up. That's your workout to help you strengthen your body to get to beginner, intermediate, advanced. And then there's DDPY for kids. And I haven't even gotten the regular workout. I'm just talking about all of that on top of all the food, all our cooking shows, entrees, salads, vegetable dishes, pastas that are healthy. I don't only tell you how to make them and give you the ingredients and directions. I actually have a video that is filmed of the entire process. And then on top of all of that, I've got the inspiration. Stories that are going to inspire you to believe you can own your life again. You can get back in the race. You can be better today than you were yesterday. You can be better 10 years from now than you've ever been in your life. You can be better 2 years from now. But again, it's who puts the work in. Jake Roberts in The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon, disabled veteran Arthur Borman, Mick Foley, Chris Jericho, the list, Dustin Rhodes, Goldust, the list goes on and on. I'm about to have UFC warlord and icon Frank Mir come into my DDP Yoga accountability crib and for 10 days focus on DDP Yoga and how I eat, how I train, what I do to give him one more tool in the toolbox. So right now, that's one of my passions. I really want to see Frank Mir, who's had an already illustrious career and been the comeback, guy of the year in 2011. I want to see him be that guy in 2016, 2017. That would be really amazing. Because right now he's only 37 years young. But I would love to see him at 38 just killing it. And that's like my goal. And we'll see what happens.
Well, obviously, if folks want to learn about and sign up for DDP Yoga or the Yap or any of that fun stuff. Excuse me, the Yap. DDPYoga.com, at DDP Yoga on Twitter. Get all the information. Dallas, thank you so much.
Brother, it's been your pleasure.
What's up, Doc?
I'll tell you what's up. Based out of Atlantic City, New Jersey, Geek Time Entertainment runs exclusively along with different events in the area to strategize with their partners who will benefit with increased exposure and patron traffic. Geek Time Entertainment will work with your event in increasing the event's traffic via social media, radio, and storefront advertisements.
Holy cow!
Also, they will help increase business for your company and event with different sales incentives.
Duh.
Whether your event will be small or even mid-scale, Geek Time Entertainment is the group to work with.
That's what I'm talking about.
Contact them today at geektimeentertainment@gmail.com or facebook.com/geektimeentertainment.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?